What's up? It's LeopoldTheBrave here with a brand new show from Crossover X. It's called Scene Selection, a compilation of our opinions and thoughts on certain topics just to help you guys get to know us a bit better. Now this is just a pilot, so some of the editing and assets may be a bit primitive compared to what you're used to seeing on Crossover X. For a full series though, we'd like to keep a very authentic DVD menu feel to the whole show. It's not meant to be super effects heavy, we're gonna try and keep it light on the editing so we can make it easier to produce. That way we can create these more often as little short films for you to enjoy while waiting for your feature presentation, Battle Royale. So let us know what you think down in the comment section below. Do you like this? Do you want to see it become a full series? And what topics would you want to see us cover if this does become a full series? With that said though, let's begin scene selection. It's a brand new year with brand new games to keep us all excited, but before we dive right in, we here at Crossover X figured we'd take a look at the games that helped us get through last year. Whether they're games that released last year or games that released over 20 years ago, nothing is off limits as long as we've experienced it for the first time this year. And I'll be kicking off this episode with a game that kinda fits in both those categories. My favorite game of 2019 was Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled. It's a remake from the ground up of one of the original PlayStation's greatest titles, but it's also so much more. Not only did it near perfectly recapture and reimagine everything that made the original great, like its story mode and its exhilarating and addictive gameplay, but it also added all the tracks and all the characters from its semi-sequel on the PlayStation 2, Crash Nitro Kart. And I was sorely mistaken at thinking they would stop there because they kept going. Ever since the game launched, they've been having monthly free content updates that have added new characters, new tracks, and new customization items. In fact, as I'm recording this, they currently have over 890 customizable items, with more on the way, and you don't have to spend a single penny on any of them. I mean, yeah, microtransactions are there, and people aren't happy about it, but absolutely none of the content in the game is locked behind them. It would be better if they weren't there at all, but they're honestly the least predatory microtransactions I've ever seen in a game that's had them. So while the microtransactions and some wonky online may be a bump in the road, it's the only bump in the road. With how great the game already is, along with the quality content they continue to add and amazing support from the developers Beenox, it more than makes up for it. The Insane Trilogy was a wonderful bundle of remakes, but it had me worried it would only be a one-time thing just for nostalgia. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, however, took it to such a level that you can hardly call it a remake anymore. It practically feels like a brand new game. It made me feel happy to be a Crash Bandicoot fan again because it finally cemented that Crash is back.
I'm actually really happy with the actual winner for Game of the Year on the Game Awards, and it's the first time I can personally agree with something like that. Sekiro is an amazing game. It brings a lot of innovative mechanics that are so difficult to master, but they become incredibly fun once you manage to get them down. And just going through the game feels incredibly satisfying in a way that only From Software can pull off, in my opinion. It's the game I enjoyed the most this year, and I was very surprised when I heard it won Game of the Year because what most people expected were probably Smash or Death Stranding, and also mainly because of the moderate backlash the game got on release because it was apparently way too hard for a lot of people. But it makes me really happy regardless, not only because Sekiro is a spectacular game on its own right, but it's really cool to see Miyazaki and From Software finally getting this kind of recognition. They've been steadily releasing quality games that are so filled with passion, hard work, and talent in a way that I feel has been overlooked by a lot of people. A lot of people that aren't fans of the series specifically. Not to mention Souls games have been incredibly influential for the little time they've been a thing. They've been here since like 2010. And it makes me happy to see people that are finally acknowledging that, by giving the award to not only one of the most polished FromSoft games in my opinion, but also what I would consider one of the most well-made games of the decade, and a good representation of Miyazaki's track record with quality games. They started with Demon's Souls in 2010 and basically closed the year with a really good game that really shows how good they become. So kudos to them for that. Hopefully this introduces more people to the quality and brutality of Souls games.
Despite all the negative press leading up to this game's release, Pokemon Sword and Shield is still my favorite game of the year. I've enjoyed the series for as long as I can remember, and while this isn't one of the best games in the series, it definitely is up there for me. The Galar region has grown to be one of my favorites. The wild area in particular is always fun to explore, and there's a ton of memorable characters this time around that really stuck with me, such as Marnie, Pierce, Bede, Sonia, and especially Hop, who I was expecting to be another cookie-cutter rival. There's a ton of creative Pokemon too, some of my favorites being the Scorbunny line, Alcremie line, and Phalanx. And this time around, competitive Pokemon's really easy to get into, so I'm hoping to see the scene grow even further. Tons of quality of life changes are apparent too, such as the UI, easier accessibility to gaining EVs, battle points being easier to gain, and while the YCOM isn't as good as the PSS, it still is pretty efficient. Plus, Toby Fox composed some of the music for this game. You can't go wrong with that. And while there are some graphical errors and weird animations, there are a ton of animations that are really cool this time around, like Pyro Ball, Behemoth Blade, Behemoth Bash, and Hyper Beam. So despite everything negative surrounding the game, it does make me happy to call Sword and Shield my game of the year. Now if we get Sinnoh remakes, I'll forgive Game Freak for bringing these two into the world.
You know, pushing aside the rabid fan base and the shitty leaks going on and about in this game, I honestly think for Game of the Year, my top pick would be Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Nintendo Switch. I mainly picked this game because of how much love and effort was put into the characters, the DLC, the stages, the music tracks, every single fucking thing, and the World of Light mode as well. And that was, put into this game. I just love the work that Masahiro Sakurai did for Smash, and I can't really say anything negative about it. And it's really good. And for those who haven't played it, I really suggest for you to get a Switch and fucking play it, man. Because it's only going to get better from here. Like that, I promise that. It's really fucking good. So yeah.
In terms of the big AAA game releases that I got to play this year that I like the most, I think the top 3 would definitely have to be Smash Ultimate, Pokemon Sword, and Ultimate Alliance 3. Smash Ultimate brought a lot of gameplay updates and character changes that I enjoyed a lot, because it made a lot of the roster more balanced and fair to play against. And some of the new character additions have been some of my favorite in the history of the franchise, including Ridley, Banjo, K. Rool, and Terry. I was so happy that I ended up enjoying Pokemon Sword as much as I did after all the bad press leading up to its release. And as a matter of fact, I actually enjoyed the smaller Pokédex this time around, because now that I'm in college, I don't have as much time to play video games. So the smaller size made it more feasible for me to end up completing the Pokédex. All the new characters were fun and super memorable, and a lot of the new species introduced in the game have become some of my favorites in the history of the franchise, especially Dreadnought, Obstagoon, Runerigus, and Appleton. Ultimate Alliance 3 brought back a lot of what I really enjoyed about the first 2 installments, and the new character additions as well as the old ones really made me enjoy it a lot. The gameplay was still as simple as fun as ever, even if it was pretty simple button mashing. Outside of the big AAA game releases this year, I did get to play a lot of indie games that I really enjoyed, and I think my 2 favorite ones in this area would have to be Indivisible and West of Loathing. Indivisible had an amazing art style, great music, and super enjoyable characters that made me enjoy playing through the game, and it made me want to explore every possible route that I could with all of the characters so that I can enjoy them as much as I could. West of Loathing didn't exactly come out in 2019, but I didn't actually get around to playing it until this year. And I absolutely loved its super quirky writing, enjoyable gameplay, and really interesting art style despite how simplistic it is.
I'm gonna be rude with y'all. I didn't play many games this year. I could probably count on one hand how many games that came out this year that I've actually played. But 2019 was a really good year for games, so maybe I'll catch up eventually. As far as games that I did play this year, Indivisible is a standout choice for me. The art style and animation is just superb in that game, but I felt that a lot of the gameplay elements gets really repetitive, especially in the first half of the game. And definitely it starts to drag in the second half. As far as games that I played this year that I just really loved, the most standout would have to be Nier Automata. Platinum Games did such an amazing job, it just blows my mind. Everything about this world and its setting and its characters are so well put together, and never once have I felt it repetitive. Usually I don't try to 100% games, but when it comes to that game specifically, I went out of my way to see everything. I went through all the side quests, I went through everything, I even just took time just to explore everything. And I don't really have that high res of a computer, so when I played it, it blew my mind. But you know, you can't deny that the combat fused with the bullet hell style of gameplay, it's probably some of the best that'll ever come out this decade. And to even be frank, I still haven't even finished the whole damn thing. And I just can't wait to just play more of it. I don't have a lot of time lately to do the things that I want to do. But when I do have the time that I want to do, I will always return to Nier Automata.